A few weeks ago, I pulled an all-nighter because the CEO of LinkedIn wanted a feature and the deadline was slipping. No one asked me to, but under the circumstances, I felt like I had no choice. By 5 a.m. in the morning, I'd written front-end code I barely understood, and somehow we shipped on time, and today 100% of you can use the feature I built. I walked away with a bunch of lessons that changed the way I think about work, like deadlines are fake, writing beats talking, and sometimes the best way to get someone to help you is to make it worth their time. I want to share all these lessons with you today. Let's get to it. So to set the stage, the CEO of LinkedIn goes home one evening, pulls out his laptop, opens his account, and makes a post. He adds a caption, drags and drops a bunch of images, and hits publish. Now he wants to increase its reach to all of his followers, so he tries to boost it. But he can't, because the option is grayed out. So now he thinks maybe it's an issue. So he calls the VP of engineering and asks, is this expected behavior? Because if it's not, then we have to alert the on-call engineer, file a Sev 0, maybe a Sev 1. This could be impacting a lot of our users worldwide. Now, the VP of engineering doesn't know, so he calls the director, who calls my skip manager, then my manager, basically bubbles down the chain. And my manager basically says, nothing is broken, we just haven't gotten around to it. Like, there's no reason this feature isn't built, other than that we haven't prioritized it and an engineer hasn't worked on it. Now, before I tell you why, you should probably understand what boosting is. It's actually a feature that's accessible to you as a member today on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Instagram, on basically any social media platform. It's a way for you to treat your content as an ad, to increase its reach. You basically add a credit card on file, you pick some success criteria like engagement or visibility, and we will basically show your content to the people we think who will interact with it to increase your whatever, likes, comments, subscriptions. Now, there are a variety of ad formats that we support boosting for. For example, text ads or image ads. And don't take my word for it because I don't remember the exact list, but there are some ad formats that are boostable and some that aren't. And in this case, you can't boost a member post with multiple images. Now, the CEO of LinkedIn has basically asked for this feature. And funnily enough, about 2 months ago, June, right before summer, my manager was like, look, this is on a roadmap, but I want to see how much time it's going to take. Can you go do some investigation? And for all of you who don't know, in industry, this is kind of how work is done. You go prototype something, which basically means you do it in like a hackathon-y way. You open up a PR, you don't care about formatting, comments, you have print lines in there, no tests. You just want to make sure you can get it working. And if any of you are interns watching, I promise you this is what your intern mentor did before you showed up for your first day at work. They probably had some project they wanted to do and they're like, well, can an intern actually do it? So your mentor or manager basically went and did it. It might have taken them like 2 weeks and they're like, okay, it took me about 2 weeks, so it'll probably take an intern about 3 months, especially because we have to actually get the reviews and do it the right way. And then I go on summer break. I'm in Europe. If any of you follow me on Instagram, you can check out a bunch of the stories from there. I have a great time in Europe and I come back and my manager slacks me 9 in the morning and he's like, hey Naman, can we hop on a call and chat? And now I'm freaking out because if you haven't watched my multiple layoff videos and seen what's happening in the industry, we basically have layoffs like every 6 months. So I'm like, God damn it. Why did I go on summer break? Why am I taking so much time off? You know, the classic why? So I'm like, this is probably it. But there's no calendar invite and no HR on the call. So that's how you know you're probably safe. My manager basically says, hey, we got this request from the very top to get this multi-image member boosting stuff done. How long do you think it's going to take? And I was like, oh, about a quarter. And he's like, yeah, about that. We have 2 weeks, maybe 4. I'm like, what? And I already have a healthy dose of imposter syndrome. So I'm like, there is no way I can do that. Maybe if you get some like a genius about to work 996, they can do it, not me. Manager's like, no, don't worry. We've assembled a tiger team, which basically for industry speak is like the Avengers. They just bring like the toppest dogs. And then there's me, like, kind of just like under the wing. And my manager's like, leadership wants this to be an experiment. We want you to use as much AI tools as possible. Literally Windsurf, Cursor, Claude. I mean, do it all. This is one of those projects where if you don't do that, it's going to negatively affect you. So now we get to the all-nighter. Basically what happened was I'm working on my piece and I'm trying my best, but there's a lot of friction, right? There's the India team, there's a time difference. The docs are not good at all. They're like outdated. You would just hit up the India team and they would assign it to some contractor who'd go do it. But we don't have the luxury for that because this stuff is due in 2 weeks basically. But at this point, it's like Monday of the week we were supposed to launch. The staff engineer's like a beast and never asks anyone questions. And so I think that's also what's expected of me. I just have to go figure it out. The more important thing is the ads compliance, because without that, we just can't launch. Like LinkedIn legal won't let us launch. And that piece is really complicated. One, because it's in a space that I've never worked in. It's a lot of front end, believe it or not. There's like some GraphQL changes, like model changes, but then the rest of it is front end to actually render it on that public website that you might have checked out, that ads library. And I am a back end engineer. I wrote full stack at Bolt once upon a time, but at LinkedIn, I've never written front end code. And so I was trying my best, but I really couldn't get anything working. But I don't know, the pressure was rising. I was feeling like kind of like gun to my head. I would be the reason this would fail. Like, I don't know, I'd get fired. The CEO of the company would hate me. Like, everyone's gonna be like, Numan's the reason it didn't work. Especially when you have the senior staff and a staff engineer who are really, really good. They assigned me one thing, I couldn't even get it done. And so I basically go home on a Thursday night and I basically decide, no matter what, I'm going to get this done. I don't care how, I'm going to get it done. Why? Because, everyone says that about computer science. Like even in college, it's like, if you just sat down and worked hard enough for long enough, there's nothing you can't figure out. It's just documentation, code, debugging, and testing, right? Like you don't need anyone else. This is not like rocket science. And I guess part of me wanted to prove to myself that I also can be that guy. And so I got home at like 5-6 p.m. and then I literally went to my room, I closed the door, and I coded until the sun rose. I have never stayed up to see the sun rise out drinking or partying, but goddamn, I did it for this project. I wrote front-end code, hobbled that stuff together, and got it working, and pushed a PR in the morning that the India team then reviewed. And the only reason I could do it was because I kind of changed the way I worked. The rep went from, I was gonna be the reason that this didn't work to I was the reason that it did work. And I don't know, that's like cool. It's like good for the morale, it's good for your optics of the company. It's just good for promotions. Like people know my name now. So all's well ends well. But I want to get to the lessons. I learned a lot through this project, kind of like Mission Impossible style, and the 10 hours that I didn't sleep about how things work at big companies and how I can be a more efficient senior engineer going forward to get to that staff level. This is me responding to yet another email. A brand wants me to make a video for free, but I'm trying to be stern and respectful at the same time. So I copy my 1-sentence draft and throw it into ChatGPT, then I paste the better version back and hit send. Believe it or not, I do this multiple times a day, and it's exhausting. I wanted some kind of AI plugin to take the edge off, but then I found something better, Notion Mail. It's an inbox that organizes itself, drafts email with AI, and syncs with everything I'm already doing in Notion. The second I get an email, Notion can summarize it, suggest a response, and even highlight action items. And the AI isn't just helpful, it's personal. Smart Send adjusts the tone of my replies depending on who I'm writing to. It's firm for negotiation emails, chill for my editor, and polished for new collabs. It just gets it. Plus, the auto-labeling is actually crazy. Everything from sponsorships, receipts, viewer emails, travel updates get tagged and sorted as soon as they land, which means I spend less time digging and more time actually working. And here's what really sold me. It's all part of Notion, so I can turn an email into a task, link it to my video planning page, or drop it into my CRM without ever leaving my workspace. No copy-paste, no let me forward this real quick, it's just all connected. There's even a dedicated Mac app. It works offline, and the iOS app is dropping soon, which I'm especially excited about because I've got a trip coming up. So yeah, Notion Mail isn't just another inbox, it's the first one that actually feels like mine. So check it out, link in the description. All right, number 1, deadlines are made up. One of my pet peeves is deadlines are just invented, right? Like some PM, some person does some back of the napkin calculation and is like, this should take 2 weeks. Deadlines are a lot of like optics and politics. Like if you can hit your deadlines, you look better, which means as a senior engineer, I need to scope out work a little bit better and give myself more buffer because hitting it is more important than showing that I can do it faster and then not hitting it, right? So to rephrase that, saying it's going to take 2 weeks and it takes 3 looks worse than saying it's going to take 5 weeks, even though everyone knows you should take 3, but you actually hit the 5-week deadline. Remember that deadlines make everyone look good. If you hit your deadlines and you hit your OKRs, everything's green, your manager's happy, your director's happy, his dashboard and metrics look good, the leadership's happy. Like everything is good if you're hitting your deadlines. And so just like they can make it up, you can make it up too. It's not that deep. Pick your family, pick your friends, take vacation. Work is going to be there when you get back. It's not going anywhere. Every single time I've been stressed, I've come back and it's been fine. Lesson number 2, everything is in your control. Just read the code. And this is something a lot of people have told me, to become a senior engineer, no one knows the answers. Like whenever I ask another senior staff engineer, they just go read the code. And learning to read code is like the best way to level up in your career. And so one pushback, a caveat, 50-50, like get really good at reading and writing code by yourself and not having to wait for anyone else, but also get good at asking help. And sometimes finding who to ask or where to ask is just as hard as reading the code yourself. And so get good at that too. And that might be just making friends at the company, being there long enough. I'm going to come to India again this year, maybe going to Bangalore and showing my face and meeting them and just having that personal connection goes a long way. And I think that is one other way to level up. Like one way to go from staff to senior is to foster those relationships. How do you get people to help you? Well, you make it worth their time. And there's a couple things you can do here. As much as I love remote work and whatever, like there is nothing like in-person contact. But asking them a bunch of questions, asking for help about something that they don't really want to work on is hard. But when it's 10 p.m. New York time and I message them and I'm like, hey, good morning, can we hop on a call? And they're like, isn't it late? And I'm like, yeah, don't worry about that. I guess it's just a different level of respect. That's what happened. They hopped on a call and they helped me. I got my entire dev environment working in 30 minutes. That was going to take me a week. That had already taken me a week because I couldn't do it over Slack. I'd send a screenshot, they say try something else, they'd go to bed, I'd try it, they'd be like, oh, actually no, try this, I'd go to bed, it was horrible. We hopped on a call in 30 minutes, we hashed that stuff out. We have this reputation where American companies or engineers or teams just pawn off their dirty work to the Indian team, and it's you guys do it, right? You guys just work hard and get it done, I don't want to do it. You kind of give them the stuff that's not glamorous, and we work on the cool stuff. Very Apple, right? Assembled in China, but made in California. Think about that for every company. It's made in the United States, but worked really hard on in Bangalore. And so I could bet you if I just flew to Bangalore and sat down with the team, I would have gotten that done in a night. So the best way you can make it worth someone's time is going and seeing them in person. I mean, I do this every day. Like, we work hybrid. If I really need help, I'm going to work and I'm just like tapping the person to the right. One, because they can't really ignore me. And two, it's just like so much easier. I just show my laptop screen, they can touch it. You know, it's just so hard to debug and do stuff over a screen. So the best way to make it worth someone's time is to meet them in person. And that means maybe working Indian hours. I mean, the Indian team works EST sometimes. They overlap. I never work Indian hours. I go on dates and go to dinners and I go to sleep. And it's like, you know, this time I stayed up till 10 and I said good morning. And I think that just hits different. They're like, oh my God. And so that's what I did. I hopped on a huddle and we debugged live. And I basically kept saying, hey, I'm going to stay up. I'll just keep pinging you for help. And they're like shocked. They're like, what do you mean? It's like 2 a.m, 3 a.m, 4 a.m. I'm like, don't worry about that. You know, one thing with the all-nighter is that it was very hackathon-y. Every time I had a problem, I was just like texting them, and I don't know if they felt bad, but they kept responding. And so I was able to unblock myself a lot. But if I'd done that over a couple of days, maybe it wouldn't have been as efficient. The next lesson is writing over talking. And this is something I take to heart. It was actually one of the core values at Bolt. It's, I think, still on the website, because if you don't document really clearly every single discussion, then things are going to get lost. Because if you didn't attend the meeting, or you weren't there on that day, or there was another meeting after your meeting, and it's like a bunch of people are meeting. When you write, it becomes much clearer. Like if you have a doc, you have threads, you can always see where everyone's at, and that should be like the state of truth. Now, going back, you know, playing devil's advocate to what I just said, documentation is also hard. It's why it's always never up to date, because there's no incentive. It's like, you know, once you made a decision, like, why am I gonna go back and like write it down? Like, who cares? It works already. And so neither is optimal. I think maybe you gotta do a blend of both. And the one really good thing that the staff engineer always did was after every talk, you'd write on Slack. It's also maybe another lesson. It's way harder to unconfuse people than it is to just take some time and say it clearly the first time, right? Like if like the PM gets a bunch of statuses wrong and she's like freaking out and you're like, no. The only way to like unravel that is to sit her down and be like, okay, no, sorry. Just forget everything you just learned. This is what was actually happening. But if you just took an extra couple days to say it the right way, then everyone has clarity. And especially when you work at a big company with so many different moving parts, miscommunication is like the #1 reason things go haywire. And the last lesson is ship it. And that's something I think I should have done a better job of. Rather than waiting for all the different components to be done, I should have just started shipping it earlier. Now, this is where like you need to be in a move fast culture. A lot of it felt like all or nothing. Like everyone kept waiting for the ads library piece to be complete, but it was a big piece. And I think everyone would have been a little bit happier if I just been shipping like incrementally. You can render all the images, but they're cropped incorrectly, but don't worry, I'll fix it later. And like just giving people a little bit of the cookie is like enough. You know, you just like, everyone just wants to know there's progress forward. You know, that was a learning. In everyone's mind, it's 0%. But really it's 80%. But if I can show 80%, like, oh look, you can go try this, or you can go touch this, or go check this out, everyone's like feels way better. And I think that is something that I've kind of gleaned from this that I want to do more and more, is have like these little wins, like checkpoints. And so as a senior engineer, I want to scope a little bit better and have like incremental milestones that we can publish. So yeah, that is the story of how I pulled my first ever all-nighter at my tech job.